Welcome to the Life Science Success Podcast. My name is Don. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a consultant in life sciences. I help companies manage complexity and increase performance. Today, I'm joined by Alex Koglin. Alex is the co-founder and president of Nature's Toolbox, NTX, a bioinformatics and biomanufacturing company that's advancing medical products and material sciences with cell-free, innovative biomanufacturing solutions. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for the opportunity to join you. And thanks for the introduction. I'm sorry for the mouthful of a sentence to start with.
Well, it used to be that I'm sure everybody would appreciate this, is that it used to be that I would ask for a short bio, and occasionally I would get something as short as 2 pages. So whenever it's a paragraph, I absolutely love it. I don't mind it at all. And, would just want to make sure that I properly introduce my guest. And, you have a really impressive background that I hope that everybody gets, to experience throughout our interview here today. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So can you tell the listeners just a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm born and raised in Germany, so I'm sorry for any accent. Even though I'm in the US for 16 years, it doesn't seem to go away. I studied biochemistry in Frankfurt University, so Goethe University, did my PhD with Volker Deutsch in structural biology and a mass spectroscopy there, and then continued to work on the enzymes that actually produce small molecules. So natural product biosynthesis to so the word, together with Chris Walsh and Gerd Wagner at Harvard Medical School. Was there as a human frontier science fellow, then got a job offer from Los Alamos. Against all advice, I accepted it simply because of the area I moved to. I worked in Los Alamos National Laboratory for 6.5 years, was the Oppenheimer Fellow there, left the lab and started together with Michael Humbert, my co-founder, NTX, and had our first working lab in May 2016. So that's on the background. Last year, July, actually we moved the company from our initial setup at almost an attic, so the mezzanines of a community college, into our own facility in Rio Rancho, and this is where we are located now. Still in New Mexico. So that's on the background. Other than that, I like classic cars and classic planes. So I hope this helps.
Yeah, I think your profile picture on LinkedIn looks like you're in an airplane or in a helicopter or something. Whenever I looked you up on LinkedIn, it appears that you're sitting in some sort of an aircraft.
Oh yeah, this actually was something really cool. So this is a P-51C, so it's a Mustang, and I had a chance to join for a flight.
Nice.
Play a little myself, and it's an incredible plane. So out of my range, but absolute fun to fly. This for sure.
Yeah, so let's just talk a little bit about NTX. So first of all, the name Nature's Toolbox is extremely, an exciting company name, and I'm really interested to hear what is the focus of NTX and what are you guys working on?
Okay, the name is very closely related to what we do. Basically, what we try is to really harvest, understand, and make available tools that nature provides, enzymes in this case, to utilize them better, to provide technology that actually allows to accelerate drug development, to accelerate also the scaling and enable scaling of the manufacturing of biologics, to improve the timelines and to improve the predictability of the products by really making better use of the enzymes that are evolved in nature for a very long time to get to better solutions. So that means everything we do is in vitro based. So basically have in vitro RNA manufacturing, in vitro protein manufacturing, and drive this forward. So the goal really is to set up a system to gather tools to really help to accelerate from the design of a drug to commercialization by really offering a tool that allows to scale with the needs of the manufacturing to really make modern medicine, biologics, really broadly accessible, to basically enable everybody to have access to modern medicine. So hence the name.
Very neat. So, in terms of the products that I saw as well, so there are three products listed on your website. It was NTX Scribe, NTX Express, and then Druid. Can you tell me what are the products that you offer?
Sure. And Scribe is basically something that happened on a very short notice upon request in early 2020. We were asked if there's a chance to use the technology that we have to develop methods to produce RNA more reliable. So Scribe as a system to produce RNA, developed our own enzymes to make RNA, to develop tools to enable better capping, tailing, to really get to a point where the quality of the material that comes out is at a very high standard by utilizing enzymes better, by getting away from batch reactions, no more stir pots, all on exchange surfaces, to really utilize enzymes better and to get to a better product to really support RNA manufacturing. Express is doing the same, just for include translation to actually produce enzymes in vitro. And we certainly didn't, and this is where the whole endeavor of NTX started, didn't want to deal with extracts. Extract system for in vitro translation are not the best way to get to a protein, simply because in an extract, everything that you don't want to be active is active. So DNases, RNases, peptidases, proteases, they work really well. They're amazing enzymes. Also, all the metabolism of amino acids works really well. Unfortunately, this is not helping when you try to make a protein. So here we really designed a system. This is fully defined. So every single step this is necessary to get to a protein made in vitro is recombinantly produced, is characterized. So for every single step, we know how they perform. Then the components are combined to actually get to a product. So this is anti-express. And there's still plenty to do, but finally we are at the stage where we can, for instance, characterize the ribosome at a resolution that just wasn't possible before, where we actually see what is the turnover number and how to improve the interaction with the factors, how to improve the speed of the ribosome, and so on. And Druid, or drug identification, is really a tool to maybe more systematically screen genomes for pathways that produce natural products, and to extract them from genetic information, and to identify what substrates are used, how those molecules are put together, what is the assembly order, and have a collaboration with the computer science department at Notre Dame University, and developed an AI system that actually gathers all enzymatic function that ever have been characterized to predict how the 3D structures looks like for a natural product that hasn't been characterized before. But we know that the pathway exists, if you want, so the factory exists. And now we try to figure out what is the factory doing. That definitely resulted out of the work that I did and in the past, and that many were involved with, and where there's a lot of interest. At the end, natural products are the source for the majority of our antiviral drugs, antibacterial drugs, immunosuppressants, anti-cancer drugs. So characterize them more systematically, hopefully also helps to provide more drug leads early on in the process. And here,
And And does Druid primarily just focus on your products, or does it have broader implications or broader use than your products?
Um, the goal really is to make it available, and all of it, all of the technologies, to make them available, to not just use them for our own needs, but partner to make the RNA manufacturing available, the protein manufacturing, and also the discovery tool, to explore small molecules, to actually screen for an enzyme that maybe somebody needs for doing a certain modification very selectively, specifically for a drug that they are that they have in development, to support those efforts. At the end, really, the goal is to, in general, accelerate the development of drugs and support this. Also help with the manufacturing of biologics to really make them broadly available. Yeah. So
Very good.
that's
And then what types of customers do you work with, and what types of problems are they looking to solve?
uh, um, everybody you can think of. So actually, we have um, large pharma companies reaching out to us, and here primarily a huge interest in very separate still. So either it's the RNA manufacturing, this is of interest, or the protein manufacturing, or actually want to explore how chemical structures that are produced in nature can be explored more detailed. We have biotech companies reaching out. Can we help them with manufacturing something? And it's primarily in the RNA space. We basically can, what we have seen with our system, how it works, can produce self-amplifying RNAs with higher integrity, with a higher quality in our system than what a batch reaction can offer. So there's a lot of interest in this. In biotechs and farmers, and CMOs reach out. They would like to see an adaptation of the technology for their needs. Foundations, agencies. So basically, we see a broad interest in it, and this is great. At the end, this is where I would like the technology to be actually broadly adapted to really help with how manufacturing is done, or actually change from manufacturing to an industrial production of pharmaceuticals, if you want. So we help with design of constructs, produce at small scale to actually enable initial studies, and then hopefully also help with providing clinical material.
Yeah, and I've done my fair share of research around Nature's Toolbox, and I mean there seems to be a fair amount of excitement around your company and what you guys are doing. Um, can you share some of your biggest successes with NTX?
Um, Interesting. Probably the biggest success is that what really helped the company to kickstart and really getting more involved and recognized um, was the recognition that how manufacturing has been done um, for biologics primarily has changed. That basically we learned that the way how biologics were produced wasn't really efficient. It didn't scale easily. It could not be adapted to a new product very fast. And creating additional capacity was and still is incredibly slow, because we talk about large installations, large investments. Um, Basically, this was by all means the biggest success, to actually see a general um, acceptance that how we manufacture is as important than what we manufacture. And to learn that if we want to change this, we have to change the way how we produce. This is one. The other big successes are, by all means, is the team that came together here, which is fun to see, that actually we have a growing team. People come together and are driven by the same idea, that actually how we gain access and how we provide access to drugs, to biologics primarily, has to change. and are driven by the same motivation to actually really become part of the company and work together. And certainly what we shouldn't ignore is that even before the pandemic, investors recognized early on that there is a need for that. So that our angel investors, the VCs that invested in us, city and state that helped, funding agencies that helped to actually allow us to build out, and recognize that there is a need for that to change this. This is definitely, by all means, these are the biggest successes we have, because it actually confirms, yes, there is something and we have to address it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, I mean, it's certainly what I saw in reading up as well, that it's one thing to say that, you have a novel idea. It's another thing to, get, one or two people kind of in our own sphere of influence, if you will, to kind of buy into that idea. It's a much bigger deal, though, and a much bigger success whenever you start to build a team and have investors and those sort of things. I mean, for sure, those sort of things are great examples of, just the great success that you've had, and obvious support for what you're working on at Nature's Toolbox. So congratulations on that.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
So I have a couple personal questions for you as well. I mean, what is it that brought you into want to work in life sciences in the first place?
Oh, this goes back quite some, right? So why did I actually decided to start biochemistry? And what actually got me excited was the precision that nature has when nature does chemistry. Um, that I think motivated me the most. Plus the diversity that we see in the form of chemistry that nature is capable of. So I settled for biochemistry. During my master's, I realized, actually, there's something going on. This is very interesting, and this is slow dynamics in enzymes. So there are different time regimes, and they actually clearly influence what happens um, in the process of producing something, whatever it is, right? So I decided doing my PhD in NMR spectroscopy, biophysics, to really have a chance to study structure and study how small structural changes actually control what happens. And this very quickly got me in the area of natural product biosynthesis. At the end, if you think about this, there's a whole factory built for every single small molecule that's made in nature. There's a new factory developed that is very expensive. The other thing that is equally important is those factories cannot make a mistake. Yeah? So if a bacterium produces an antibacterial drug to get rid of food competitors, it better doesn't make a mistake, otherwise it kills itself. So that means the variations are very small that can happen there. So the precision is high. And that really caught my eye. The high level of precision, studied the structures, got involved there. And then slowly, and this is where a huge group of people internationally works on, but understood that we can actually predict the substrates. So then we started to understand how to put them together, those building blocks, if you want so, to form a compound. And then wait for evolution to actually come up with this assembly and to be bioactive and have a function, if you want so, and drive it in this direction. This actually really inspired me and keeps me up going. What really got me to leave academia entirely was that my postdoc, Matthias Streecker, who's now part of the company and was teaching biochemistry before, and I, in Los Alamos, discovered a complete new class of antibacterial drugs. So found pathways that didn't make sense initially, and then slowly said, yeah, there's something behind this, so we should explore it. Grow the natural producers, isolated the compounds, and realized, hey, yes, they have an antibacterial activity, so it makes sense to explore that. And being in Los Alamos, the funding arm there, or the good interaction there, is with DITRA and USMRED. And we got data back that suggested, yes, absolutely, those compounds have antibacterial activity, even against multi-drug resistant strains. So we were put in a position that we had to make more of those compounds and to just enable to expand in vitro studies and then trying to get us into animals and to do some not only activity but some efficacy studies, and learned how complicated it actually is to produce material that is compliant with the needs for along the development line, and how slow the process is. And at the time, admitted, rather naive, I thought, this is stupid. There must be a way to actually change that and to have a better solution. Have a solution that actually scales, that has a quality and built into the system, and that actually ensures that whatever material is made is fit for animals, is fit for clinical applications. And it just needs to be done in a form so it scales with the need. So I left the lab and started the company. So this is really what drove me into the private market, so to actually set up a company and explore that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those most interesting things is, how does somebody wind up at the beginning of their journey to make a decision to do something, and then also to continue that path. I guess along those same lines, what if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self? I mean, I think about somebody that, you grew up in Germany, you said, and then, now you're living in New Mexico. That's a vast, sort of difference in a lot of ways. I mean, temperature alone, it would be a big shift. So is there anything that you would tell your younger self maybe to do differently, or to think about differently as you were advancing?
Good question. So in all honesty, I don't know. So what would I tell myself? Other than just keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open, pay attention to the things that happen around us. And wherever it takes you, drive it forward.
Yeah.
Certainly, instead of initially thinking I should go into air and spacecraft engineering, so immediately tell me, okay, biochemistry is your pathway to go. So no, this may be the only thing, but this is fine. I'm happy. What I probably would tell myself early on would be, think about how our needs as a species, if you want, so as humans, change when the population grows. So,
Mm.
and this is where we stand now with the company, that we basically really try to address a few issues that come with a growing population, that actually the methods for pharmaceutical manufacturing that we have uh, were developed when there were less than 2 billion people on the planet. But population grew. We now push 8 billion people, but the technology did not evolve with it. What
Huh.
evolved is that we just made the same technology larger. Is this a solution? Not necessarily, right? So we had to come to new methods that actually really start to industrialize the process to make it more predictable. And this is probably what I would tell myself. Yeah, pay attention to the things that are going on, that change in healthcare, and focus on that from the beginning.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
good overall advice. I mean, being more aware, kind of the things that are happening around you, as well as, you know, how exactly things are maybe being scaled, is, becomes more and more important. That it's not just a matter of size. It's also, can you, gain additional efficiency by moving up the population chain as well.
Oh, absolutely. Because I think let's stick with manufacturing for pharmaceuticals here. It's not really sustainable, right? So this is a big issue, that scaling does not address the issues. How sustainable is actually the process that we have?
Mm-hmm.
How reliable and reproducible is the process? But those at the end are the questions that we need to answer to ensure that we can provide proper medical care and the proper amount of all medication to all humans. So, and I think this is absolutely crucial that we don't forget that. There is a lot to talk about and there's a lot of activity about this, but this is a fundamental issue that really needs to be addressed, and enable everybody to basically have access to vaccines is still an issue. Right? 2 years later into COVID, we still face that the distribution of vaccine is not equal for every human. Here I can only quote Martin Fried of WHO. He was talking at the World Vaccine Congress earlier this year, that we are in a situation where around 60% of the vaccine is produced in the developing world, but the developing world only received 10% of the doses so far.
Huh.
So that means there's the general issue, how to address not only a pandemic but all healthcare needs more globally, is definitely something we have to pay much more attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 3 questions that I like to ask every guest. Alex, what inspires you?
Oh, we talked about this. So basically, really driving technology forward to enable more predictable manufacturing, to really enable everybody to have access to drugs, to accelerate the drug development. We can have, and there's a lot of activity, which is absolutely awesome to see, a lot in early discovery, different approaches, but how to translate discovery into a development and into a commercial product. This is a huge issue that that needs to be addressed. That really inspires me to hopefully be part of it, at least a little bit, to enable that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think about, kind of where we are from a scientific standpoint, as well as, just the ability to knowledge share. As the pandemic, happened, it's funny because I was recently myself being interviewed on a podcast, and somebody had asked me, kind of how I saw people react to the overall pandemic. And I sort of characterized or mischaracterized. I made a slip and said that we moved into the Zoom period, and we transitioned. But I mean, if you think about it, one, having a vaccine as quickly as we did only happened because the knowledge was there and available and able to be, brought, into light, that, we could then develop a vaccine that actually would work against this thing. And then, secondly, just, I mean, the idea of even having monoclonal antibodies or, other scientific, sort of deliveries during that time period. I think it's just an amazing time, and a wonderful time for, somebody that can leverage those skills and bring things to light.
I hope. Yes, indeed.
And what concerns you?
um, Basically, what I mentioned, that we still really have to still get to the point that the technology that we use gets away from manufacturing as what it is. So basically, a product by product, very specific procedure, hint to something towards something this is more industrial, that is actually generally applicable, and this becomes predictable, and that actually really can be distributed and allows everybody to have access, or equal access, more importantly, to the developments of drugs, and also to access them once they basically are approved and to be ready for distribution. So that's really concerning me, how we all can, I think, improve on it and accept that in a globalized world, healthcare issues need to be addressed global and not country
Yeah,
by country.
yeah, absolutely. And what excites you?
Um, Two things. A, that I believe we move in the right direction, and that there is much more acceptance, much more focus and activity in this area to actually really say, okay, global healthcare is not a term; it's actually a goal. That distributed manufacturing is not a long-term discussion anymore. It actually slowly transitions into something that is real. And in all honesty, walking in here every morning and learning something new from an amazing team. This is absolutely exciting.
Yeah, that is absolutely exciting. Well, Alex Koglin, thank you so much for being a guest on the Life Science Success podcast. I greatly appreciated your being here.
Thank you. Thanks for your time and for your questions and our conversation.
Absolutely.